Good morning, everyone, and welcome to the February 9th, 2015 version and issue of Magical Monday Musing. Continuing to explore this year of 2015 and all that it's bringing to us. Thank you again for those of you who were in touch to comment on our card from last week, the Temperance and Balance card. It ended up being one that I seem to bring up into my mind constantly over the course of this week. And I found it to be so far probably the biggest companion for me since we've been working with the cards this year anyway. I just found so many reasons to remind myself to be temperate, to be patient, balanced, and to use that pause to not engage with the energy immediately, but to pause. I think for this week, so many of us are experiencing big changes. You know, it used to be, back in the day, there was a list of life stresses, and now it just seems like that's normal everyday life, you know, moving, people giving birth and enlarging families, and people passing away, and changes of job and relocation and changes of marital status. So many of these things right now for so many of us are just clustering. You know, it's not just one of these influences, it's many of them that can affect us at the same time, and maybe feeling stretched and pulled in a lot of different directions simultaneously. And I found that this card this past week, Temperance and Balance, were very effective in helping me to be able to more consciously maneuver through channels of new beginnings, and just adjusting to new ways that we're going to be working as a family and as individuals. And it's just very interesting how one stimulus like moving can have so many ripple effects and can affect so many aspects of your daily life, from your energy levels to new ways of needing to interact with people, and new kinds of relationships, and learning how to communicate clearly. You know, being a renter after, I don't know, 17, over a decade. I can't even remember how many. I'm trying to think how long it's been since we've rented, but a long time, since before Nico was born. And all that comes with that, you know, you just can't do what you want when you want, and restraining from painting walls the colors we might like, and just a lot of things that you have to, dealing with so many things that wouldn't even be a blip on the radar, but now it requires a conversation, and it requires a lot more thought, and picking and choosing, what you want to have addressed, and so on and so forth. So I wonder for your week too, if you engaged with that energy of pausing, of needing to just pay attention to where your thoughts are going, and how you want to interact, or what you want to bring into your energy field, or what you want to release and not engage with. You know, there's a lot of opportunity with working with that card to recover that sense of balance. Remember, we talked about that pendulum swing, and how we can get ourselves so out of balance, and that can become habitual. And then the work that it takes to get back in balance, and that's a slow progression. You know, that's not 1 week card pull. That, as I said to one of my friends this week, temperance and balance could be something that we continue to work with on a daily basis, and just keep that card's archetype alive within us, even though we're moving on to another week for February 9th, and another focus, whatever we collectively choose for our card this week. So I hope you have brought your intentions and thoughts about how you'd like to be this week. And oftentimes the card will really shape that focus and give us the practice for the week. You know, this really is a practice, spiritual practice, working with the cards this way. So for those that tune in every week, you're really giving yourself a chance to develop a spiritual practice, working with the tarot and these archetypes. And inviting in that archetype to literally shape your life and teach you some things that you can then carry forward and use ongoing, and you develop a relationship with certain archetypes. And some will certainly be more favored and pleasing than others, but they all represent part of the journey that we as humans undergo at some point in our life. That's another aspect of the tarot, is that, especially the way the Wildwood Tarot works, is that it journeys with the wheel of the year. And through each turn of that wheel, there are different archetypes and the cards they represent that help shape the year. So we don't always work with it in sequence. That might be something fun to do. And I'm just kind of getting an idea now. This could be a kind of a cool thing to do, is to do another series about working with each card throughout the year. I think that's a really cool idea, guys. I think I might do that. Maybe starting with the equinox. So I got to stick that feather in my cap and see if maybe that's something that we might do. But anyway, this is what happens when you work intuitively. You never know when you're going to get inspiration. So maybe you can give me some feedback and see if you might like to work in a more methodical way too, because then you would be getting to know the tarot more deeply as we cycle through the course of the year. So I'm thinking about that. But anyway, for this week, we're going to shift gears now and get into our meditation. So I invite you to close your eyes if you feel comfortable with that. And I invite you to bring yourself into your physical comfort, into whether a seated or reclining position that you'll be comfortable in for a few minutes. And I ask you to take in 3 deep breaths at your own pace, in and out. Letting your focus shift from the external to the internal. And letting fall away any external distractions, concerns, or worries. Just allowing yourself to be in this present moment. Finding a sense of peace and quiet and stillness in the now. Thoughts might come into your head and you can just release them and let them go. You can watch them come and pass on like a cloud drifting across a summer sky. Releasing into your higher wisdom's influence now, as it works with you and as our own sense of higher wisdom works with each of us to create this collective today. As we choose the card and archetype that can guide us best in our own personal and spiritual growth, and that can serve us as the Circle Magica community. Giving appreciation to yourself for creating this sacred space that you bring yourself to each Monday in order to bring a deeper connection through the wisdom of the tarot and the wisdom that resides within you. Inviting in the grounded presence of the earth, the 4 directions and elements, ancestors and loved ones in spirit. Inviting in the angelic realms, the master teachers, sky and star beings, and all those that work with us in our journeys here, our earth walks. And asking that they would weave their influence for our higher good into the card pull today. And asking that as we find out who we will be working with, that they would continue, our spirit allies, companions, teachers, and guardians. and assist us this week to gain the most that we can. Assist us in being conscious and aware as we walk. And as we learn and grow together. So with our sacred space claimed, I invite you to come back, open your eyes, and set your intentions for this week as I shuffle the cards for us, asking that we collectively would choose the card that is going to be most meaningful, most nurturing and nourishing, healing and empowering for us. So the card we're going to choose this week is this one, the Green Man. That's awesome. Another major arcana card for us. And I just, even looking at this image, there's just so much power with the Green Man and so much magic, and really going to have a strong week this week. I just feel like we have an opportunity to do some higher level clearing, I'm feeling, for a lot of us this week. So the Green Man is in this deck number 4, and I just have a great feeling about the card, but it's definitely a potent one, so just be prepared for some potent movement. So we're working certainly with the divine masculine, sacred masculine this week, and let's see what the meaning has for us and the reading points. Okay, so from the Wildwood Tarot by John Matthews, the meaning. The Green Man is a symbol of the flourishing heart of the male aspect of nature, one of the most ancient images of the connection between mankind and nature. His face has looked out from the stones of temples and churches for centuries. Even in the dim and chilly heights of Christian cathedrals, he looks down, often sardonically, on the people far below, constantly returning in thinly disguised ciphers such as the Green Knight, Jack in the Green, and Robin Hood. His face, disgorging leaves, peers out from the rich, dark, fertile heart of the forest and challenges you to respect and revel in the joys of the natural world, which is just so good to see green, with here in New England being, I mean, literally buried in snow, and getting more this weekend too. So the green colors feels just very healing and welcome right now for myself. And just a point on respecting and reveling in the joys of the natural world. And can those of us that are at the effect of the elements and the winter turbulence, can we certainly respect, but can we revel in the joys of the natural world? You know, for those of you who maybe don't get out and into the weather, as I have not been. I've been hibernating in the house, and I've been looking out the windows, you know, below zero temperatures, and I just don't have even the clothes for it. So a way that I could revel more is getting some proper clothes to go out and at least take a little time in nature this week. So how do you feel about those words, revel and respect? The natural world, what does that mean to you? No matter where you live, you know, there's always, if we look at beginner's mind, an opportunity to engage with the natural world freshly every day. So his aspect can be fearsome and frightening as he protects the wild beasts of the forest. They know his voice and his presence well, for he is as much one of them as he is the conscious spirit of the land, and the interaction between nature and beast is constant and intertwined. The cauldron is under his ever-watchful eye, and the joyful exultation of creation and fertility are seen, and I'm probably going to slaughter this, so I apologize, are seen in the Cerne Abbas, Cerneabbas, giant, both proud in his manhood and in his protective power. He is a giant figure indeed, mature in his power and patient in his resolution. The green man is ever vigilant and unerringly stoical in his guardianship of the sacred land. His warning to respect the laws of nature and the beasts of the forest are best heeded, as his challenge to those who abuse his generosity can be fierce and severe indeed. Yet his heart is great, and his spirit is warm and full of primal joy. His face is not hidden from those who can see through the thickly tangled fronds that encompass and enfold the earth. His bounty is rich and nutritious and soaked in the golden rays of a fertile summer sun. So for those of you who might be new at working with the earth spirituality path, or wanting to expand your understanding of earth and the guardians of earth and the beings who inhabit the earth from a spiritual perspective, this could be a great week for you. If you have not encountered the green man before, this could be a really, even though here, where we live, it's winter, the green man has come for us and to us for reasons. And the reasons are not always the same. So you may have some encounters with the green man, and I would encourage you to go into a meditation and invite him in so that you could get what I call sometimes a baseline. Oftentimes, what I will teach, and something I taught myself, was when you're encountering a new entity, it is to have a welcoming attitude and invitation to that entity or that being to introduce themselves to you. So I would encourage you to do that this week, to actually take 5 or 10 minutes and sit down each day and just invite in the green man and get to know what his presence is like and begin to invite him into relationship with you so you can experience his attributes and his personality and the way he wants to share it with you, because it won't be the same from me to you or to somebody else that would be wanting to align with the green man. So I know for those of us that are buried in snow right now, the green man certainly is an invitation to remember that nothing lasts forever, and that whether you love the winter or don't, that the green man represents that which is evergreen. It's not a seasonal thing that he represents. It is the form of life itself. So the reading points are, the green man is generous in his bestowal of creative, fertile energy. So where are you needing that in your life? Where can you invite that into your world this week? Creative, fertile energy. And he will move you to a new level of confident and assertive dynamism. And of course, when we're dealing with that masculine or sacred male energy, we are dealing with the qualities that are more masculine. So the assertive, the confident, the outward, external, pushing forward or moving energies are very much about the masculine nature. This is a time for both giving and receiving the natural flow of life, both inwardly and outwardly. So echoes of last week where we were working with the inner and outer understanding, and we were working with that alchemy. It seems as though we're going to be carrying forward, but in a different way, different energy, but still that getting us to become more habitual in our understanding of the relationship to the inner and the outer, and actively seeking to work with that and to make it a conscious part of our daily lives. So be prepared to find a new and thriving drive to begin projects, relationships, and even new ways of living your life and fulfilling your world. That is going to be a big key for us. So be prepared to find a new and thriving drive to begin projects, relationships, and even new ways of living your life and fulfilling your world. I mean, I'm looking forward to that word thriving, because my energy levels have been so depleted and low for so long that I am absolutely welcoming the green man to amp things up for me. So I don't know if you're one of those people that in the winter the energy levels can run low, and some of you, I have a sense, really would like to do more hibernating, but you're feel that your schedule won't allow you to. So it could be that maybe the green man is going to help invigorate some new things that want to come to you, that because of your nature or the way that you tend to work in the world, you might be able to do some shifting with that this week to invigorate. Why not some self-care projects? Some things, investing in things that maybe have seemed too far out of your reach, maybe, or ones that you put on the back burner. The winter is a great time to get invigorated about self-care, about nurturance, about refilling your well, about replenishing yourself. So it could be the green man is going to help some of you. I have a sense of this anyway, with that aspect of revitalization. Now is the time to experience being at the apex of the cycle of life. Enjoy it. So within the context of your week, see how you can ask yourself, the apex of my cycle, what does that mean? So there is a high energy and a fertile and a creative and a very, Hildegard of Bingen called the greening of things. And so where within the white wonderland, or where within the very depths of this winter season, are you able to perceive a place where you could do some greening? So I am going to switch over to our spiritual tarot and do some reading from that as well for us, and see who we have. So again, you know how it works. We have kind of a different approach from one deck to the other. And we're going to be dealing with the Emperor this week from the rider-waite deck. And again, as I say, this is number 4, the Emperor, who definitely has, you just say the word and you can feel the difference between the green man and the Emperor, right? The Emperor definitely has a sense of regal, royalty, sort of like the Emperor, it's like the final word, I have a sense of like the final word. I have developed the strength and vigilance to accomplish the tasks necessary for civilization to advance. The decrees I send out establish standards for justice and determine how they will be interpreted. I am the producer and planter of seeds, as well as the one who determines which seeds are worthy of being sown, grown, and nurtured by the Empress. The Empress being the card prior to the Emperor. Okay, so I take information from the High Priestess and translate it for use in the outer world. I pass on the secrets of worldly success and teach you how to survive. My position requires the clear thinking of a scholar and the discipline of an athlete. Though I consult advisors, the final decision is mine. Once I make it, I go forward with supreme confidence. So like I said, he is the final authority. I inspire you to lead those who look to you for guidance. So another week where we're being asked to be leaders. And that makes sense to me for the people who follow these teachings and who tune in on Mondays, because you obviously, to come and sit and make time to do this requires something that the average person probably isn't interested or wanting to do. You're actively interested and invested in your spiritual growth. And those of you that resonate with Circle Magica and the space that we hold, you are leaders. You are people who are in the world to make a difference, and you are consciously knowing that you're the pebble in your own pond, and that what you do creates ripple effects that you want to create for others and for the betterment of not only yourself, your family, your community, and the world at large. So this doesn't surprise me that we get a lot of these powerful cards to reinforce what we're wanting to exemplify and to demonstrate in the world, because we are getting that support. And it's as if the universe is aware of that and is working with and through us to be the best leaders that we can be. So follow me and you'll have the energy and the determination to exercise your authority. I am at the heart of order. He is going to be welcome in my life if he is the heart of order this week. Rationality and the methodical approach. I organize the ideas generated by my partner, the Empress. I give you the ability to penetrate to the core of an issue and make appropriate, responsible decisions. When you announce your principles and assume responsibility for your actions, I am at work within. So I think it goes without saying, but important to note that we will most likely be called into situations where we need to be responsible for our actions and to walk our walk and talk our talk. So I'm going to say you will probably want to expect to have the universe orchestrate situations this week in which you will be called on to make responsible decisions, to be responsible for your actions, and to be that example in your world. So my key phrase is reasoned authority. Okay. So another bit I'll read to you is the Emperor's strong male energy teaches us to use reason in handling our problems, to set limits, to respect and live within society's regulations, and to pursue our ambitions with confidence and courage. His discipline leads to self-sufficiency. I think what I'm getting here intuitively is that there are a number of you who already are quite self-sufficient, but there are also those within our ranks who are developing that and want that. And so you're going to get a boost from the Emperor / Green Man in that this week. However, his position is geared to resist any change other than his own. Be aware of this tendency when you draw the Emperor. So I can totally relate to this because I know there are some changes. We just seem to be barraged with change. But within that, as I was speaking to you at the top of the tape this week, especially changes in how we relate to others and continuing to update our skill set with that. In other words, do not think that you're programmed and you have the answer in how to be with people. Let yourself come fresh to the moment. You know, sometimes we program ourselves and think, well, if someone throws this at us, this is how I respond. But I would encourage and even challenge you this week to, when, especially with confrontational things or with things that make you uncomfortable, again, to know yourself and know how you usually respond and say, hey, is that going to work for me? Or can I up this, you know? And literally call the Emperor into the situation. You literally can, when you know you're going to be having some kind of encounter, just I do this constantly. It's how intuition works. It's how this process of engaging with spirit works, is just within yourself telepathically call on Emperor, call on Green Man to guide your words, to guide the energy that comes from you as you're preparing or even engaging in the interaction. So just be aware that you could be coming across those kinds of scenarios this week. Especially this last sentence, be aware of the tendency, this tendency that you want others to change but not yourself. I suppose that's human nature, but we're going to be called on the carpet with that one this week, it looks like. His presence in a layout can be a suggestion to delegate responsibility. Perhaps you could let would-be emperors make mistakes and learn from them while you remain available to advise and teach. Also, consider exposing your inner student emperor to a variety of teachers. The emperor asks us to examine our own authoritative behavior or lack of it. Look for your control issues, he advises. Question your passivity. Now, the shadow aspects of the emperor include, getting angry or vindictive when our authority is challenged. Okay, so you know how I talked to you about being a renter versus a homeowner? I can see this right now. I'm so used to calling my own shots, and of course I've never been good with authority, so there you go. Exercising oppressive self-control, or hardly any, depending on others to control our behavior, difficulty making definitive decisions and carrying them out, and confusing authority with aggressiveness or domination. So when we draw the emperor, we need to check our recent behavior for signs of stubbornness or lack of responsibility. And if you were to talk to my husband, he would say, I am the most stubborn person he's ever met, so I guess I might be doing some work on that this week. How about you? Recognize and appreciate how you utilize your strengths and self-discipline. So often we tend to not give ourselves appreciation for our strengths. And so how about this week in our journals we list them? Appreciate your strengths and self-discipline. So where do you have it together? Where do you know that, I've got this. I do this. I'm great at this. I'm seasoned at this. I'm skilled at this. Like for me, obviously, like my strengths are my spiritual path, and my spiritual disciplines are never negotiable. And that's something that, after almost 30 years of training, I can say that. But there are other places where you might want to look at, maybe you can make a pie and think of each aspect of your life from, where am I strong in relationship? Where am I strong in career? Where am I strong in personal growth? Where am I strong in self-care? You see, and you can maybe discover or call up some things that maybe have been waiting for your recognition, but you haven't maybe made the time or just looked at yourself. It's a chance to look at yourself in a new way. Remember Green Man talking about giving a lot of energy to creativity and new projects and ideas. Well, maybe it is also perception, self-perception, that we could invite into this process this week. Use more logical reasoning when evaluating your immediate problem. Always useful. How often do you get right into the emotion of the thing rather than the logical? We tend to lead with one, and if you are one of those emotional people, like I definitely tend to be one of those people, this will be a great week to work with Emperor and work with Green Man on balancing that left and right brain approach to whatever we encounter this week, whatever our own higher wisdom and spirit and the universe cook up for us. So use more logical reasoning when you're evaluating your immediate problem. So one thing that comes to mind for some of you is a pro and con list this week. So I'm starting to get that intuitive feed now. Anything sequential, list making, anything that will promote rational thought, logical thinking that can help you as you're working through either some problem solving or when you need to work with other people to get a bigger perspective on an issue, to look at it logically, can also, oftentimes we think, logic narrow, but by creating some kind of act through which you can invoke your logical thought process, it can actually be a door opener. So you can blend the use of intuition and with logical reasoning, and you can work the two together. So see where you can work your logical reasoning. If you have an immediate condition this week that you need to sort through, I already know some things that are on my plate that I think I want to give a little more time to before I engage, so that I can drop down into this place of logical reasoning some more and think it through a little more. I know oftentimes we can tend to be impulsive, and or on the other side, we can tend to take forever to create a change, to pull the trigger, to say yes to something. So where are you on that spectrum? And can logical reasoning either expedite or slow down what you need to do, and so that you can come from your best possible place? Consider accepting more responsibility for a project or for your actions in a relationship. So my sense is with that we will be asked this week, some of us will be asked this week to reevaluate how we are, either in a place of relationship. I'm feeling a lot on that end of it for us this week. I have a feeling there are some of us in our community that are going to be asked to reinvent how we are in relationship. It feels mostly like partnerships, whether business or personal. And looking into that more deeply, like seeing where maybe you might be one that would blow off the conflict, would deflect it, would get into pat answers rather than stop and look at what's being said. You know, kind of like roll your eyes. I've been through this a million times. This is never going to change. This is just how they are. But how can you be with that? That may be true, but how can you be with that? Can you come to it with beginner's mind so that you don't automatically flip into that mode of, automatic reaction, automatic response? Where can you bring your higher wisdom? Because you know what happens when you bring your higher wisdom, when you bring your A game, even if this feels like I've done this a million times and this is how it's going to turn out, you then change the energy when you bring your higher wisdom. So why not lead with the higher wisdom of Emperor, with Green Man, with bringing fresh and new creative self into situations, because that often can up somebody else's game so that you can create a shift that wasn't there before. Or if worst case scenario, sometimes it feels like you're beating your head against a brick wall, at least it's going to be more interesting for you, that you're not being someone that is sleepwalking through the experience, that you're fully activated in it, which is only going to behoove your personal growth. So if you take what I mean by that and run with it, it can really change the dynamic of an encounter that you have this week. So it doesn't matter whether it's, like I said, a partnership in work, whether it's a significant other, or if you're working with family or children or even elders. Bring your A game to it. Give yourself that opportunity to engage differently this time. Okay. And lastly, review your ideas or behavior regarding a current authority in your life. So again, this teaching is inviting us, and we've been going through the Mercury retrograde, which also has to do with the re's, revamping, reviewing, redoing. So how can we review a relationship with authority? As I sort of divulged to you guys, I'm not a big excuse me, authority and I don't work so well. I've never been a fan of authority, and I've never done well with it, which is probably why I am self-employed, and it's probably why I'm a hedge witch and don't belong to a coven, and I work solo. I really pick and choose who I engage with, and I typically am not someone that plays well with others who are in an authority position with me. So I certainly have a lot of work that I can do around that. And if there's a particular authority figure, so who could the authority figure be for you this week? It could be a place where you've been submissive to others, or it could be one where you've been in conflict, active conflict with an authority. regardless of the role that that authority plays. You can, through your journaling this week, review how that is for you. What does it say about you? What trainings did you get as a kid? What did you learn from the authorities in your life, growing up, whether it be parents or church or the culture? We consider institutions authorities. We consider other people authorities. And what's your relationship with authority? Do you give your power away to authority? Who are the authorities in your life currently? We all have a need to have experts or those that are leaders or who are teachers. So, what is your relationship with those forces in your life, and where do you need to review those? So I just want to tune in a little bit more to you guys specifically and ask who I need to reach out to and what I need to say for you to really make this card, the Emperor, and the Green Man, useful to you. So I am tuning into the energies that there is the need for some of you to really work on taking responsibility for your emperorship. For some of you, you're going to need to say things that are going to be kind of direct and non-negotiable, and that you are the authority, and kind of like just saying it how it is. Now, you don't have to do that with a lot of attitude or remember, part of the reading had to do with, not with domination. Don't be coming from the shadow place of thinking that in order to be an authority, you have to dominate or control. You don't. But that your point is simply needing to be made, and that this is how it is, and it's not something that is debatable. So I feel that there are going to be, I'm speaking directly now to a portion of our population that's going to come up this week in some form or fashion. And I feel that there are some of you that are going to be needing to work with the throat chakra, and this card is going to help you to come from that place of assuming your role as the Emperor or as the Green Man. They really have to me, very different energies. So you may just want to do a meditation to tune into the differences between Green Man and Emperor and feel those for yourself, because to me they feel very different, although they're both definitely strong figures. I just have a different sense of each one of them, and I wonder if maybe you do too. Okay, so what else can I tell you before we close? So I'm getting the phrases that it's time to trade up your understanding of self and step into greater power that you need at this time of year, early in your year, so that you can begin to create a foundation for yourself and your power that will serve you as you are planting these seeds with the Green Man. That as we work the wheel of the year and come into spring and greater harvest in the summer, you will have a greater sense of confidence and faith in yourself to move through whatever challenges that you need in a way that you can do so with poise and confidence in yourself. To let go of patterns, people, and even places that no longer energetically support you. So I'm just channeling this now. This is kind of new this week too, so things are going to change from week to week. We continue to seem to weave new aspects into these videos. We'll see if there's anything else. You are shedding old skins and birthing new realities this year that require you to be unafraid in being seen, in being heard, you are being required, not even asked, required to step out into the light of day and be recognized for your capabilities, for your wisdom, for your perspective. And I know there are some of you out there that have been wanting that recognition, and you are now, through this work, even this week with the Emperor and with the Green Man, going to be getting some foundational support in really getting your root system going for this work this year. Many of you are going to be answering the call to adapt and let go. And I'm looking at vocationally. There are going to be additions to your vocation, streamlining, shifts in it so that you'll be more aligned with your real work here. It's not always going to be corresponding with more money, but it is going to correspond with true purpose. So do not fear this, and know that the universe does have your back and will help you to find your way one step at a time. Don't make the mistake of thinking that you're going to see the end game. Often we're asked to take the next step, and we're shown that, but we're not shown 5 or 10 or 15 steps down the road, and we're certainly quite frequently not shown the final picture. So be prepared to take acts of faith this year in yourself around creativity, career, vocation, changing locations, cleaning out the closets of relationship that don't serve you anymore. These are some of the things that the cards and what we're being guided to choose collectively is going to help serve us with. So I'll stop there. I think that's plenty for 1 week. And I look forward to hearing from you. I hope that you have a very powerful and magical week with Green Man and Emperor, and really look at the nature of responsibility, of being the authority, of being the leaders that you are, and looking at your relationship with your own power, which is, it can be heady stuff, working with power. So what can you learn this week? And I am eager to hear how these archetypes serve you and how your work goes forward. So I am going to wish you that wonderful and powerful week, that magical week. And until we get together next week, blessed be.